Welcome to the TaeVi podcast, man. We got a repeat guest on, special guest, well recommended. A lot of people wanted you to come back on, and it took a year, man, but we got the special guest back on, man. Brother Hakim, how you doing, my man?
Man, peace, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And last time we talked about a year ago, we talked about a lot of things, life skills, current events that was going on during that time. But we here back to talk about your story. And last time we talked a little bit, like we was saying before the interview, we talked about life after prison, life before, how you got into that life. But a lot of people in my DMs, when they saw the last interview, they wanted you to talk about a little bit, of course, life inside of the wall. So let's take it back from the beginning of what year did you enter the prison system?
94.
94. And what year did you get out?
2011.
All right, so roughly about 18, 17 years. Now,
which was a 20-year sentence.
Okay, now, and this was federal?
Yes.
All right.
First time, never been in no trouble in my life. First time.
Now, what was your, I guess?
Charge?
Yeah, you good at
conspiracy to distribute cocaine.
All right.
Trafficking drugs from Los Angeles, California to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. And when you heard, I would say, how did your, I guess, the process go of you? Did you go to trial, or did you cop a plea, or did you accept any other thing, or you went to trial?
Man, trial, but in the process of the trial, I was able to, because of my family, my dad was indicted. They was about to indict my sisters. Back in the early 90s, man, it was a very draconian process, where they prosecuted you on a federal level. And so, but let me just thank your guests and everybody, because I don't want to jump into the interview like that, man. I always want to thank God for giving me another chance I may correct yesterday's mistakes, because I don't want to never get ahead of myself and not thanking the Creator, man. Because that's, to me, that's like very important, because I don't like to outlaw God in no interviews and none of my life and nothing I do, because the Creator is not outlawed. Even though in the society that we live in, He's outlawed unless you get in trouble. So,
gotcha.
So thank you, brother. But yes, so that process on a federal level is different from a state level. So conspiracy laws were laws that were used for mafia family members, And so when the war on drugs really took off in the late 80s, it was under Ronald Reagan was the president, and Nancy Reagan, which was the first lady, was going around saying, "Just say no." And so the crack epidemic was just getting to take off in the inner cities of America. And at the process, the sentencing scheme or the guidelines that were used to prosecute you on a federal level were not done prior to the 80s, because there was a different set of rules or precedent, I should say, was set. And what that was, there was a parole system. And it wasn't like aggravated or grievously going after drugs. Pardon me, drug dealers or conspiracy laws wasn't executed at the time. So prior to 86, the Drug Reform Act started changing differently. So crack cocaine, which was really a big thing in the inner cities of the black communities. And so at that particular time, there was a ratio that was put in place, 100 to 1. So if a person get caught with 50 grams of crack, that was like 50 times 100 grams. And you know how many grams that is, but how can you sentence someone disproportionately? So if a person got 50 grams of powder and 50 grams of crack, what will trigger you to think that 50 grams of crack can be a 100 to 1 ratio? You see the math there?
Yeah, it's
and so you was given 10 years for 50 grams of crack. Think about that, 10 years. 50 grams of powder, man, that was like what? Man, that wasn't even on the guidelines, if I could just look at this recall back. And so my case was cocaine and crack. We was taking the keys of cocaine and procuring it into crack. And so I was charged with the leadership role in the drug conspiracy. So so the leadership role would mean that I was in charge of operation, what took place. Now, mind you, I'd never been in trouble in my life. Never shot no guns. So I was thinking that the government probably went after that, making me the leader, which I can honestly say I were. but I was disproportionately sentenced, meaning that I had an unjust sentence, I should say. I wouldn't say disproportionately, pardon me. I was unjustly sentenced. Because how can you never been in any trouble in your life,
First time offense.
a first-time offense, and you be sentenced to 360 months, and then when you be sentenced on the federal levels, it's like 3 points that reduce you from accepting responsibility.
And what does that mean?
I'm still trying to find out what that means because people that plead guilty, they just get 3 levels.
Okay.
And in the midst of my trial, that what took place after the sentences of that. So in the midst of the trial, when I see they bringing up my father and they already have him arrested, you know, something that, and see, back then, they was arrested a lot of people with a charge called missing prisoner of a felony. For example, if you dating a girl and y'all be in relationship, pardon me, and she may or may not, let's just say if she don't have knowledge of what are you doing. And by her not having any knowledge of what you're doing, and they say y'all stay together, y'all got nice cars, she drives some of the cars, and the feds indicts you, most likely the agents will question her. And if they think in their mind, not in her mind.
It's a coincidence that she don't know none of this. They
Yes.
think she know.
She know. And and they can say that she obstruct justice or tell her whatever. But the charge that they would use is missing prisoner of a felony. So they was doing that to my father. Man that never sold drugs, had nothing to do with it, but we are his sons. And this was like another part or phase of how they use that on a federal level and how they would go after people like that. And so that would happen in the case. And so during the trial, I told the lawyer that, you know, when we had the recess, that what was the time that was putting on the table, because I didn't want my father to end up with 10 years. He never been in trouble in his life, you know, so it was very critical of that component, you know. And then not only that, at that particular time in the 90s, the way that they were sentencing us, man, it was like you would really have to like say, man, this is not really a war on drugs. This is a war on black and brown communities. Because in the 90s, that was a saying, we build them, they're going to come, meaning the prison industrial complex. If you go back and just really do the research, you can see there were not that many federal prisons prior to the war on drugs. You feel me? It wasn't bank robbers that were filling the prison industrial complex on a federal level. And so when the feds began to change the Drug Reform Act, how they sentence drug dealers, it took an effect on other courts, state laws began to change. And then after they sentence you, you had to do 85% of your time. So if you're given 10 years, you would do 8 years and a half. Feel me? If you do 20 years, you do 17 and some change. So that's why we say we did a 20-year sentence on a federal level. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't consecutively flat because you get the good time, which is 54 days, off a year, which is really a joke.
Now, during that time, was it a strain on you and your father relationship when you hooked him up?
No strange. No strain or nothing like that. It was father, raised in a 2-parent home. Just the poor choices that I made and my brothers made would you know, cause that to happen, you know, but it still should have never happened.
Okay.
You know, that aspect of the law, I would never respect because
you're not fighting fair, basically.
Yes.
And they supposed to be
because they use that to try to squeeze you so you can plead guilty because of the conviction rate is so high. Now, I didn't cooperate with the government, but they still would try to use any kind of tactics because I understood that what I was doing, it could lead me to the grave at an early age or prison. So when you accept your lot in life and the consequences that go with that, young brother, you already know there's certain codes that are put in place. And so there was codes that I was driving my life by that were principle. It was death before dishonor. You know, I lived this particular type of lifestyle, so I got to accept what go with the lifestyle. And so, you know, that what goes with that type of lifestyle. When you make those type of decisions in your life, man, and you know you're living criminologically wise, meaning you're doing anything that can engage, that will put you at a disposition against the law, and something can happen to you, you can end up in prison or anything can happen. You have to make a choice that either I'm gonna continue to do this because everybody know the outcomes, whatever you do in life.
Yep.
So, you know, it took me to go to prison to realize, oh my God, man, I was doing wrong. I already know distributing cocaine in my community was wrong. You know, and I just saw the monetary and the power that so-called power that associated with that.
Now, how hard was it during the trial to go to your lawyer and accept 20 years?
Man, that was like 21 years and 10 months, 262 months.
Damn.
That is without no cooperation. If I would have cooperated, the government would have let me go. Because I ain't never been in trouble in my life.
Yep.
You know, so it was like tough, but I had to do that, man, to save my family, man. I couldn't let you feel me? My sisters getting indicted and all that, man. Then my first cousin, you know, he was a major role that the government used at that particular time. Man, come on, man. You never know who might have would have took the stand. Because when doing the evidentiary process, there were people were saying things that you never met before. Back then, under the federal process of how they would go after to convict you, man, they would take so-called testimony was deceit and lies, man, of people who were scared to go to prison. Yeah, man, people that you might have knew in the streets, but you never had any dealings with them, and they could come back and say something about you.
Okay. Now, after the judge sentenced you, what is your mind state going into prison? What are you thinking when you stepping in for the first day? Are you going there to rehabilitate? You going there still with the mentality you had?
No, because prior to being sentenced and going through the sentencing components of trial, getting ready for the trial evidence, seeing, everything what you were going to be charged with, I already had a certain state of mind. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then I was in the county, I didn't get no bond. Mm-hmm. And so I was on a federal tier. And so I already was in an environment already, a controlled environment, but I knew my mind was free. And I knew something wasn't right, but I was missing something. Mm-hmm. Like you cook some food and you're missing the season. What I was missing was the knowledge of the law. Okay. There's no such thing as excuse, that you are ignorant of the law. And that's in the Black's Law Dictionary. There's no excuse for that. Mm-hmm. It should be an excuse, because if you have no knowledge of a thing, how can one put on the book saying there's no excuse for one to be ignorant of the law when law is not being taught in the communities? It's not being taught in the schools. You know that, brother. So my mindset was prepared for prison. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? It was a self-imposed limitation, because that's what I already knew I was going to go to federal prison before I went to federal prison. I used to say it, man, the Fed's going to come get me. Because if you keep saying the law of attraction, if you say a thing, it can happen to you. And that's, yes, not out of, like, something I wanted to be at, a place I wanted to be at, but it's just the environment and the people that you running with, these things can happen. Because I know it. New Orleans police wasn't coming, because I had surpassed that level like that. You feel me? On the street level. So once I got sentenced, you stay in the county for probably a couple of months. You never know when they're going to come and get you. Mm-hmm. So the first prison I went to was to Atlanta USP, which is a high security institution where they send a lot of people life at that particular time. If you charged with a leadership role or any international ties, even though you stayed in America, you never been to Mexico, Colombia, but if you had any type of people like that on your case, they will send you there, but most people that go to the high security institutions, people with violence in their drug case. I didn't have no violence, even though I was charged with weapons. Mm-hmm. See, my sentence was enhanced. 21 years. First, it was 360 months, which is 30 years, with the 3 persons with separate responsibility. Took me to 21 years and 10 months. Okay. You see what I mean? So I got to Atlanta, and the environment of Atlanta was, the gun towers, because when you go to United States Penitentiary, that's where people who go there to serve life or violent, so-called individuals that are violent, I won't call them criminals, but individuals who crime or charges were of violence. Mine wasn't nonviolence, even though guns was in the case, but I never touched none of the guns. My co-defendants had the guns, right? So-called, what the government said, my co-defendants so-called had possession of the firearms. Now, had I had any knowledge of that? No. If I did, I would have never told the government that. So, never going to do that, because that is something that when you sign up for something, You have to accept what you sign up to. So when I get to Atlanta, man, prison could be your worst place, or it could be something. When I look at it, and I want you to think about this in your audience too, bro. Prison gonna be whatever you make it, whatever your mindset is. So the majority of the prison population that I saw at that prison, the majority of the inmates, they were caught up into a particular mindset that I didn't want to be caught up into. What do you mean, Brother Hakim? They were institutionalized. Guys get up early in the morning to put their chair in a certain place by the TV. You know, nothing routine about, nothing productive about that.
But it's a routine.
It's a routine that he himself has learned in that environment. You feel me? Because behaviors are all learned. I didn't want to learn that behavior. At 11 o'clock, I didn't want to sit in front of no TV to watch no stories, The Young and the Restless. But I saw a lot of people doing that. Ain't what I wanted to do. So I knew that I had to take time and surround myself with individuals who were productive. And so there was a lot of productive individuals. They're more unproductive than productive. And the unproductive, it wasn't just that they didn't want to become productive, because, you know, most of the individuals who go in federal prison on drug cases, most of those brothers have a low level of reading and comprehension, man. Most of them don't have proper education, GED or high school, diploma. Some go to college and some graduated from high school, but for the most part, man, because I worked in education building further on my bed. So I was able to see that in Atlanta, which I didn't stay there that long because I wasn't supposed to be in that type of environment. So I might have stayed there probably less, if not a year, under a year.
Okay, now, high-level security prison. We see all the TV shows, all the movies. Is prison portrayed how it is on the movies? Violent, a lot of, I guess, just fighting, a lot of stabbings. Is it portrayed as it is in real life? Is that reality?
That's not reality, bro. Prison, the federal prison, I don't know nothing about state Department of Correction. Never been there. It's my first time being in trouble, Dante.
First and only.
And that's it. So, and the record will reflect that when people do a background check on Hakim and see, I don't even have a record on the state, no traffic violation if I went to the fair, none of that, not a speeding ticket, none of that, brother, you know? So, but federal prison is guided off respect. And whether or not that you cooperated with the government. In the high security and medium high security institutions that I've been to, they are checking their paperwork.
Are you talking about inmates?
Inmates, shock inmates. If you're in the Christian community, they want to see your paperwork. Doesn't matter what community you're in, because that's the rules of that environment. You know, that's the rules. You can't, if you go there to break the rules, you'll lose your life. So for the most part, people who know they wasn't right, they don't go on that compound. They'll stay in protected custody or in special housing, we call it.
No, they wasn't right. So you mean basically just mean
their paperwork.
People
Their paperwork. They told on somebody, and somebody from that environment know they did that. You know, but the most case, if your paperwork is straight, you matriculate yourself through all levels of federal prison with no problems. So the respect level comes in, bro. Like, for example, like if you take the phone off the wall, the phone receiver, to put it down, and you going back to your cell, and somebody come up and grab the phone, that person disrespect you. He should have first asked who put the phone down so I can use it. Because it's not an environment where, I'm going to do what I want. No, respect rules them environments. You know, like, for example, if a person got his bowl in the microwave and the microwave time and elapsed, if he put it on 3 minutes and it elapsed at the 3, nobody not going to come up and touch it and pull his bowl out. No, it's respect. If you're in the line for commissary, which way you go into the prison store to buy different things off the commissary list, and if you're in line and you leave and you run back to the door and tell somebody, man, I'll be right back, ain't nobody gonna say, man, that was on you, you should have never left. It's a respect. If you're in the line, what they call the chow hall or the dining hall where we went and eat at, the prison correctional officers call it chow, like your animals in there, but I always knew it was a cafeteria setting, right? So I'm just trying to show you the wording for me had to change. So, but if you're in line and you and I in line, no one is not going to come skip us, man. It's respect. And the inmates that are serving the food ain't gonna just handle your trade no any kind of way. It's respect. You know, in that environment, it's all about the respect. So if you respect yourself, others will respect you. And that's the tone you set. And you could be in an environment and never have a fight or stabbing. Most of the fights and the stabbing come from a behavior. Either you're getting high, you don't want to pay off your money, you're gambling and you don't want to pay, or you're messing with that other life, messing with homosexuality, and that's the three things you told not to mess with when you go there. Those things never crossed my mind. You feel me? Because that's, to me, prison have an underworld. They got a trap life too. You get trapped up in there too. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
So I had to literally say prison was a bad experience. It's a bad experience, but it produced for me good results.
Okay.
And the good results it produced for me because I literally had to have a mindset to turn the cell into a classroom. And what do you mean by that? A classroom is when you go in to learn something, right? So I had to become a student in an environment. You feel me? And how I became a student in an environment, because a lot of people be marveled over how can you go in the prison system and you could come out knowledgeable or polished. Well, a dictionary didn't do that for me. Only thing a dictionary could do is make you become word conscious and know how the different parts of speech are used for that word, right? Yep. And the context of how it's used. So, but what happened to me, brother, in Atlanta was that I was invited to a meeting. It was some brothers that was in the Nation of Islam. And that's what began to change my mindset.
Okay.
When I heard Minister Farrakhan, it was a rap for me. It was like he was speaking to me. I was in the chapel, like he was directly speaking to me, and the name of the message was, "Let us make man."
Now, before you continue, what year was this when you heard this?
This was in like 95.
Okay, so this was basically as soon as you got there, a year in.
Yeah, man. Soon I got to Atlanta, man. I saw the attraction of them brothers was, hey, man, when you in that environment, you stand out when you got liked. Because you're going to eat a certain way, you carry yourself, you exercise, but it's your thinking, and something is happening to your thinking, man. You praying and you fasting. And so once I attached it to that body of knowledge of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I took off at a speed of light, brother. It was like I had been looking for this all my life, this kind of knowledge that would produce a change in me. And that's how I began to come to birth, my epiphany, as I always call it. And that's how I can say literally today how I was able to strive and begin the process of escaping the trap life. Had I would have never received that knowledge and that inspiration for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, now mind you, that was a VCR tape. There wasn't no DVDs like they got today. I saw the old big ones. You feel me, brother? And so I'm passionate because you can see how my disposition changed when I mentioned that man's name, right? Because that was more like Jesus for me. You feel me? That was Messiah to me. Now, what everybody else wording or how they may see this beautiful human being, to Brother Hakim, that was Jesus. That was Messiah for me. Okay. You feel me? This man for me was anointed by the Creator, Almighty God Allah. And I say that this is the man that God used to touch me. Now, it may be other brothers who may have other avenues, brothers who may be in Christianity here, Brother T.D. Jakes, and they be their path, that they how they got their epiphany. Because I always give and explain what the minister made me understand is that if a person say that they're following God, this footman is not talking to religion. And a person may see it as, if like, for example, we just look at mathematics. We ain't got to take religion out. When we look at the number 7, there are different variations that can get you to the number 7. I could say 6 plus 1. The young brother 14 could say 4 plus 3 is 7, Brother Hakim, and you right, 6 plus 1 is. And then you could say 5 plus or 5 plus 2. Yeah. You feel me? Somebody could say 1 plus 6.
7 plus 0.
You feel me? You feel me? But 7 still represents heights, elevation. You with me? It still represents the same number. Now, how you arrive to get there is the work you have to put in. So I put in work to get into my 7, to get heights and elevated. And that's what my process of elevation. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan never taught me to hate no one for the color of their skin. See, there's a lot of misnomer about knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And so what I was looking at the body, knowledge, what it done for me from the inside out. It began to change my thinking, and then my behavior began to change. And so then I was able to take on knowledge of self. Because in that environment, if I'm going to turn my cell into a classroom, in the prison into the university, that means at the university there's many kind of books, right? Yeah. I read books on every subject, brother. Ants, bees, man, I'm not being facetious. I'm just being real. I studied every religion, Buddha, Confucius, I went to every meeting, brother. I studied Noble Drew Ali. I read every book, Dr. King, his favorite letter, the letters from Birmingham jail. I used to use different, quotes out of there to make it plain in the language when I went to talk to certain individuals who believed in Dr. King, you feel me? Because in prison, when I began to speak and teach other inmates, brother, it wasn't just from an Islamic perspective, you feel me? I had to speak the language of the people. So then I had to become a better, well, I obviously use the word, had to become great, not only in the craft, but as an example of what I believed in. So that they would trust in me and look at me, that I will be in front of them to teach or give them an explanation, not only what I believe in, but talk about the condition that Minister Farrakhan made me to understand how we got to prison. You feel me? And that's what I stuck to. And I began to work with other brothers who believe differently from me, because belief counts for nothing unless you carry it into practice. We all could believe something, brother. But absent knowledge and the possession of faith, man, that's like me and you could be going to look at a boat that's on the grass and thinking it can move. That boat ain't gonna move it until it touch the water. And everything gotta be working within that boat to make it move. You feel me? So it gotta be some things that we can't have missing. And so prison wasn't prison to Hakim. As I said on the last episode, it was truly a university setting. And anybody that ever knew me in the federal prison would tell you that, brother. Now, I'm doing the same thing out here that I was doing in there.
Now, when speaking, reading, staying busy, were you staying busy to avoid the negativity and distractions? Was it, genuinely to, grow as a person?
As to grow as a person. Everything that you see happen out here is in prison. They got drugs. They may not have the hangover ball, but they got people hanging over the next day from drinking hooch. They mix some messed up fruits up and you got them get sour to drink. So excuse me, so what prison made me see something that the minister made me understand. Either you're going to make the place, the prison, or the time, I should say. Serve, you're going to do the time and you're going to make the time serve. I made the time serve me, brother.
Okay, now.
You feel me? So you can understand that now the ones who didn't make the time serve, they was into all type of drifting, distractional things. Whatever was going on, their mindset was distracted. I knew that I couldn't be distracted. You feel me? I knew I had a calling for my life. I discovered my aim and purpose for being. And I wasn't going to let nobody get in the way of that. So to keep me from way of that, one that has knowledge is not the same individual who don't have knowledge. And so I had a different burden. To whom much is given, much is required. I wasn't learning this information or this knowledge, I should say, to be better than my other brothers. No. I was learning this knowledge to help them to become the best version of themselves. Whatever I was learning from the ministers, I was teaching and sharing it to the inmate population.
Now, your aim and purpose. Prison aim and purpose is to punish criminals and rehabilitate.
That's what I'm getting to.
That's what I'm getting to. How is the prison system rehabilitation process, and how much of BS is it? How much rehabilitation happens in prison? Is it a real effort from the prison system to rehabilitate inmates?
Unlike state facilities, federal facilities are totally different, brother. If you want to get your GED, you're going to get your GED in there, brother. It is mandatory that your educational needs be met. What I mean by the mandatory is that once they check your pre-sentence report or your pre-sentence investigative report called the PSI or PSR. And so prior to you being sentenced, an individual work for the government that deals with the pre-sentence side. They go out, talk to your family, might check a school, see if how much education you have. You with me?
Yes, sir.
So when you lack the education, like the high school equivalency, no, you didn't graduate from high school, so you be put on a list in federal prison. When I went in the 90s, and it was mandatory that we put in the education program to get your GED. And that's how a lot of brothers in the federal, black brothers, brown, even white ones, poor white guys who went to federal prison, even the rich ones was teaching the different classes, because I worked in the education department, you know? And I worked in the pre-GED area. I worked with those individuals to prep them to take the GED test. Okay. And then I started working with those that was considered to be dysfunctional illiterate, who couldn't even read. I made one prison I was at, I made them get what they call hooked on phonics. You know, I taught a 50-something-year-old man, I was in my mid-20s, how to read and write. Was from Alaska. He was on a marijuana charge. So I was able to do what I was supposed to do. So when we talk about whether or not there's a reform or rehabilitation process going on, that is individual. Because if you ever heard of this word reentry, and like my brother Cordell Sims, who have a podcast, he always highlights that reentry starts on the inside of prison before you get on the inside. I know we're going to get on that, but I'm just had to give that brother that shot because he was formerly incarcerated. He was the first one that looked at reentry. We all know that, but when he said, I was like, brother, it's right. So when we think about rehab, like a person sprained their ankle, and the doctor may have to do surgery, right, to correct something in the ankle, put a caulk, whatever it may be.
Physical therapy. And
the doctor refers you out to the physical therapist, right, who help you to rehab it so you can utilize that. You don't have to put no much pressure on a good ankle. You got to start working into the one you got back right again, right, to get it back usable like you want to. So it's a process. Something is laid out by the doctor. He did his part, and the physical therapist showing you different exercises. So when we look at it from a prison perspective, you still got to do majority of the work yourself.
You got to do your part.
You can't depend on the warden, which is the keeper of the day. The warden in no prison is not going around telling inmates, hey, did you know we got this new program? You're supposed to know, because in federal prison, there are ways you could become diesel mechanics. I'm not just telling you nothing that I ain't saw, but I saw with my eyes. I'm not telling you something off no TV, brother. There are instances where brother took HVAC classes, was able to be certified HVAC specialist. Because mind you, everything in the prison that's break, the inmate population will skilled in that type of trade, fix it. The free man or the foreman may oversee the job to make sure that you're doing it right, but the inmates take care of everything in prison. Fix the food. That was some of your best cooks come out of prison. Your best HVAC, because they have programming, HVAC, small appliance, what else they had up. And then you got other people teaching ACE courses, people that came to prison with college education, you feel me? Because on a federal level, judges get sentenced to federal prison. Lawyers, doctors. It ain't just for bad, people with drug cases and bank robbery. You got people now that are white collar, credit card fraud, Medicaid fraud, or taking money from banks illegally, bank fraud. They got people in there, so you got a whole network. A whole network. Thank you, brother. A whole network of inmates on different levels of federal prison, from the USP to the medium to the low, all the way down to a federal prison camp. So if you meet a brother that goes into prison, he can learn Spanish if he wanted to, because they got a lot of the Spanish population there. If a brother want to learn Asian, he can. If a brother wanted to, journey religion, be a part of change his, spirituality. You know what I mean? It's morality. It's everything you want in there. It's up to you. And that's what I saw, brother, to get back to what my rehabilitation was up to brother Hakim. My reformation was up to me. God is not going to help nobody that does not help themselves. So I was not about to matriculate through this journey that I knew that was going to produce something so magnificent. Because mind you, I wasn't going to come out of prison the same way that I went in there, brother. That's too, you feel me?
Yep.
So I had to allow Whatever God had in store for me, I had prayed about this. Put me on the path so that I could become what you desire of me, not what I desire of myself. So that's why I was able to come to birth, brother, inside of a hostile environment. You know, not a tomb, but a womb. That's how I looked at prison, a womb, a firm resting place. Gestation, development was going on for me, brother. Okay. There was a power and a force working in my life and on behalf of me that I may able to escape some of the things that I saw some of my brothers in there that couldn't escape. And not, it's for the most part that they couldn't escape, because when we receive any type of knowledge and we begin to change, man, brothers have become to try to enlighten you, man. It's up to you to receive or welcome the enlightenment. You can reject it. It's up to you. I just wasn't going to reject no knowledge, brother.
Okay. Now, towards the end of your sentence, when you are ready to come back into the world, what is the thoughts going in your head? You've been, like you said, you've been developing your mind.
I was ready.
Learning. You was ready?
Brother, you gotta look at it. I was speaking in front of people and working on myself since like 96. So when I came out here, I done read every book, studied. And the most part, it wasn't not just the reading the book and the studying, it was the praying. It was the fasting. It was the working, the sacrifice, and the studying. You see what I mean? Without the praying, I could not have the right mind. Without the fasting, I could not relieve myself to control desires that are in there. You feel me? Lower desires. So I had to be in touch with the whole dynamics of oneself, mind, body, and soul. Every component of me had to be fed. I was not spending all my day on the gym. The recreation, y'all, with the weights and working. Yeah, I ran every morning. I worked out, yes. But I knew that exercise profit but a little, according to the book of Galatians. It profits for just a little.
Physical health.
Yeah, spiritual profit much. I fed that more. The spiritual man got more of the food than the physical man. You feel me? Okay. So that's how I was able to matriculate myself through this journey of the prison experience. And that's why I always tell people, for you, it might have was a cell. For Hakim, it was a classroom. For you, it might have was a prison, or, yeah, but for me, it was a university. So no matter where I went, brother, that's what the mindset I had. And any brother that knew me from the inside, they're going to tell you, they call me black man, they're going to say, man, black man always try to help people. Same as I'm doing out here, brother. It ain't change. See, you can't leave from that place and trying to be some pretentious out here, because then they're going to see something is missing. You feel me? And people could just try you, because the word, what they say, try the spirit, huh? So they know that the energy that you give off, if you really connected to the right power source and you're demonstrating high levels of knowledge with an example to couple that knowledge with right wisdom and understanding, man, you could move somebody, because if you teach something, somebody going to follow you, brother. That I know.
Now, you ready? You ready to get out? First day out, what is this day like for you?
Now, prior to getting out, my daughter died. She was going in her senior year LGS Tech. She was riding the three-wheeler Christie. And when my daughter Christie died, it's like, man, that was like a test, brother, of my faith in my Creator. Because most time, brother, when things happen to us, we don't handle it, brother. And I hope and pray that I was found in God's eyesight to handle it right, brother. Because I had a mindset that the Lord give it and he take it. Maybe I didn't understand the circumstances that surrounded my daughter's death. And then the federal prison officials did not allow me to go to the funeral of Brother Dante, because they used stuff that I was sentenced to back in the 90s, that I was sentenced to being, so-called kingpin or leadership role in a major drug conspiracy. I had like power responsibility over other people that I was giving drugs to, which was all deceit. But the people who housed me in that prison, who saw that the government had a little book of me, but the thing that I demonstrated was a big old book. You feel me? And they was going off the big book. Because a counselor and my case manager told me, brother case man, Mr. Singleton, he said, Brother Hakim, I'm going to be very frank with you. I don't understand why they wouldn't let you go to your daughter's funeral. He said, but as I wrote in my recommendation, the guy that you all sent us in 93, 94 is not the same young man that has grew up in this prison environment. You don't even know half of the things that Hakim has done, not just for staff, but also for other inmates, with all the prisons he's been to, even warden. But the warden that wrote me, brother, because warden usually don't write you, he just told me he didn't have enough time to look at the situation because it had happened. But I wasn't mad at the warden. I wasn't mad at no one, brother. I looked at that being a test, man. Because you're going to be tried, brother. You're going to be tested to see, do you really believe in what you say you believe in?
What year was this?
It was in, I think, 2000 and...
Talk to the mic.
2009, I think, 8 or 9. Because I think I had like about a year, but I'm counting it. I got out and left all with the halfway house and all that. So I think it was probably when she passed, I think I had more than like a, I think I was under a year or at a year. So I think it was like in 2008, I think. I'm not mistaken, brother. Don't correct me wrong. I had to come back and get it right there because I don't want to practice no line,
It's your story.
brother.
You can fact check your own story.
Yeah, brother, yeah.
Was this the hardest part of your prison journey?
Yes, brother. That was one of the hardest journeys. Yes, because I just talk to my daughter all the time, so that was tough. You know, for that to happen. Matter of fact, it wasn't 8 because I think I had like a year and some change to go, a year and some months. We call it change months. Look, see the mindset in prison, bro? Man, the money ain't no change. Money is 30 days. You feel me, right, little young brother? Some of them got 31, right? So I'm just showing you the mindset of prison. Excuse me for that jargon, but that's how we talk on the inside. But anyway, yeah, that was like one of my greatest challenges and tests, man. Because it made me really know, brother, that the journey of life, man, it's going to be met with so many ebbs and flows. It's going to have some lows too, some valleys. You know, it's going to have some good days and it's going to be some bad days, man. But you just can't complain. And that's the spirit I had. Like that gospel song say, going to be some good days. I had some good ones in there. I had some bad ones. But I stayed grateful knowing that, you know, that I was doing something so great that God had me on this path, man. And I know when it's all said and done, man, I'm going to be what he want me to be. You feel me? And even if in this process with my daughter, and it's just lifted my faith even more, man, because so many other inmates had prayed. Because in that environment, Dante, you meet the best minds. In order to do any criminogenic activities, brother, you got to use intellect, brother. So if we begin to start, because great business minds come out of the drug game. We just had the wrong product. We was thinking right. We was moving wrong products. If I was moving apples on the sticks, I'd be a millionaire right now. Or pralines, selling smoothies, you feel me? Bottles of water. We got the right concept. We just had the wrong product. And so I was dealing in the inside with brothers who had them type of mindsets. Brilliant, brother. Man, it wasn't just Brother Hakim. It was a lot of great brothers, man, that taught Brother Hakim, pulled some in Brother Hakim's vessel. You know, I don't make myself to be something I'm not, brother. I ain't faking it to make it. There was a lot of other inmates that developed, trained, and transformed Brother Hakim's life.
Okay.
See, I'm not going to let no one think in their mind that when you go in prison, you pick up a book. Man, I met the books in action, which was other brothers like myself who've been in down longer than I have been, who developed me. And I can name everybody who helped Brother Hakim. For real, brother, who had something to do with my development. Whether they gave me a book to read or whether they took me to the chapel and taught me something, whatever it may be. If you develop Brother Hakim, I thank God for you every day, man. And they know it. Because I know I'm not who I am by myself. No one comes to this place we call life by yourself, brother. I ain't pop up out no toast. Need that you have. People is always there to develop us. And we got to tell the world who helped develop us, who helped grow us, who helped enlighten us, who helped us to become better than they found us. And so that would happen to me, dear brother.
Okay, now I want to we talked about inside the prison. Let's get outside now. The last day is here. When you get out of prison as a felon, you're not totally free, right? You go to a halfway house.
Yes, for 6 months.
Okay, now is that normal for to do that, coming from federal, is that the same as state? Do you always have to go to a halfway house right out of prison?
You can. I really don't know how the state operates, but I know they got state halfway houses. Mm-hmm. But on a federal level, when you get to like 18 months, I think it's probably a year to 18 months, they begin to do the paperwork so that you can go to a halfway house. Yes. Yeah, left in your sentence. All right. Because you have to do 6 months. Now they have some guys who deny halfway. I say, man, I'm taking it all the way to the door. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do that. Makes sense. And I was ready, because you got to look at it like this. This a good metaphor for you to remember how you look at prison on all levels and get to the halfway house. Prison is like a womb. You know, like you be in your mother's stomach, the womb. Yep. And at a certain particular time, you got to come out there. You got to come out, brother, right? It's time, right? Mm-hmm. At a particular time. So when I came through those doors to be released, just like we came through our mother's womb, it was a hell of a journey to get here. If the sperm could tell the journey of life, man, we'll be like, what? Because it's a hell of a. So if you could really look in the the lenses of my life, of this journey from prison, man, you'll pretty be like, wow, brother Hakim, man, you endured all this. Man, this is a hell of a journey. So when I got free from the womb at my delivery time, once you leave out of that womb, you can't go back and knock on the door. Just like I can't go back, and my mother was living, knock on her private area to say, let me back in.
It's your time. You got to spread your wings.
You feel me? So that's the same analogy for prison. When you leave, you could never return back again. Mm-hmm. When you properly prepared at your time of deliverance.
Okay, now.
And that's how you deal with recidivism, brother.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that you cannot revisit. I looked up some statistics, and it says the U.S. has one of the highest. It's 76.6% of prisoners are rearrested within 5 years that they get out. Why do you think going back to prison is so common with people who already been there before?
It's a lot of, with all due respect, brother, a lot of different factors. Mm-hmm. One of them factors, brother, is the preparation, mm-hmm. the process. What were you doing when you was on the inside? What type of preparation was going on? You with me? Mm-hmm. If you knew you went up in there, you didn't have a GED, you should not be coming on without a GED. If you went in there, you know you had you lacked certain skills of development or social skills, you had the opportunity to develop that. See, we got to take some responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem with society, they are so unkind towards those of us who return back. They use fancy word, returning citizens. Mm-hmm. But there's not a best practice reentry program in America unless it's spearheaded by those who has been formerly incarcerated. You can't teach what you don't know. And so when a person released from prison, his greatest reentry, the greatest, I should say, his greatest, his greatest elements that he got to have, because reentry is something that once they put the cuffs on you, you begin the process of reentry. That's why Cordell Sims say reentry starts on the inside of you. Something happened on the inside of prison got to happen on the inside of you while you're in that prison. And then it happened on the outside. So when you come on the outside, there are no resources. If a person don't have a productive family in place, dear brother, working class people that can really network, wrap services around him, help him to get back to become stable and productive to society, he or she, brother, will return back because the social needs had to be met. And that's why we have this program in New Orleans called the First 72 Reentry Program, because it takes 72 hours, man. If we don't have you, if we don't engage you and have you in the right area, the right path, or put you on the right road, I should say, so that you can get the right necessary, the resources that you need to become productive in a society like this we living in, you will return back within 72 years, man.
Yeah.
You begin to start recidivating.
72 hours.
Because recidivating is a mindset. And before you start doing it out here, you was doing it already in the inside in your thought process. You with me? And so that's why when people get out, we try to advocate for those of us like ourselves. But the city, and they got all these different people who work within the city in all different agencies and say that they're working with the ex-offender population. They may be working with us. Working with you is different than helping you.
Yep.
And you only can help someone as far as your understanding of what help look like. But this thing about this, if them organization director was an ex-offender, then you could really help some ex-offenders, right? Not just have them working there, but put them in a position of leadership so they can drive the narrative or the discussions about what it looked like to help somebody that returning back from prison. And that's what I love about First 72. When they walk in the door of First 72, they are met with Tyrone Smith, who had life and gave the life back, who I know personally. When they go to vote, the verse of the ex-offender, but it's now called the verse of the experience, they meet Norris Henderson, who did almost 30 years in prison, one of my mentors. You feel me? They see the organization, they see the work that he's done with the having ex-offender to become or register again. See, when you look at organizations of reentry that are spearheaded by individuals who are formerly incarcerated, they are more successful than these so-called organizations who got all this funding but don't have the outcomes that the First 72 and vote have.
Understanding.
That's right. And not only that, to me personally, the jest is over, brother. The masquerading got to stop. If you're not a fireman, you should not be talking about you could put out a fire. So if you know about reentry, you should be formally incarcerated. You should be leading that discussion, that narrative. And we got any discussions about the criminal justice system, we need to find those that been in the justice, been in the system that has been unjust towards us since we've been in the shores of North America. So we got to stop allowing people to have a letter behind their name but not learn it of that which they say they are doing. And I see that a lot, brother. I see that a lot when it comes to reentry. I take this personally because you can't tell me nothing about a place you never been to. You can't tell me what a successful return back from prison is. You can help me along the way if I guide you in the help. You can't tell me what I should be doing. I should tell you what I need you to help me to do.
Now, when was that happening to you when you got out of prison? Was people telling you what to do, but you was on a different mindset?
No, I had a brother. If you don't have a plan, you're going to feel the plan. I had a plan before I got out of there, brother. No, sir, brother. When I went in the air well, they was talking about, you got to find a job. I say, well, a job doing what? That type of work, I'm involved in turning people lights on in their mind. Ain't no job for that. I got to create a job. So I began to volunteer from the halfway house and go to the youth study center on Milton Street, the juvenile facility. They changed the name, but it was the youth study center when I came on. Even though there were youth in there, but they were being studied, but not by themselves. They wasn't being studied to become better. You feel me? And it's the same today. They got a different name, but the same game. Because once again, the wrong people are in these spaces, don't know what the hell that they're doing. And I tell them to their face, you don't know what them young people desire of, man.
All right.
It's a job to you.
Now, with you saying that, you got to create a job. Is how...
I won't use the word create a job because job to me is just over broke, like Brother Noah always said. A career. We got to put them on a career path, and then to start from the career path, teach them entrepreneurship.
Okay.
That they could do something for themselves.
All right. Now, because you teach life skills. That's
building life skills.
Building life skills.
In the classroom.
Yeah. All right.
The workforce.
Okay.
The college campus. Law school. Wherever I go. Life skills have to be taught.
Now explain life skills.
Because life skills is all about redesigning how you think so we can redefine what success look like to you.
Okay.
We got to have some restructuring going on in the thoughts. We got to change one's thinking. Cognitive behavioral therapy has always been successful. You know, it's a mindset. We have to teach people, man, from here. You know, we focus more on, like, for example, let me show you how important life skills is. We see a young brother, he smell like loud. Brother Hakim is not going to say, man, you smoking that loud. Brother Hakim know if I change his thinking.
Loud is marijuana for people who don't know.
Everybody in your audience know, brother. They know. They know.
We go global, man. We gotta break it down for them.
Yeah, but they know global too. Loud. They know why the young brothers calling it loud.
Right,
you feel me? So you see a young brother, for me, smell like loud. The society that he moving in will say, oh, he ain't gonna be nothing. He smell like that weed stinking. But Hakim finding another way. See, I'm not gonna focus on the loud. I'm focusing on his thought process.
Why
because
he smoking loud?
No, I'm focusing on what is going on in the young brother's life. How can I help him, serve him?
Okay.
How can he become the best version of himself? And it starts with his mindset. I has to begin to teach and train and transform him. If he allowed that process, because it's a process, brother. So I'm giving you an example. So if he got the lie on him and his pants may be a little loose, you feel me? So I always say that if we focus on his conscience, he gonna put his own pants up. See, we want to put a Band-Aid on this because nobody is into the work of changing mindsets. I'm into that field of work. I want to teach people how to think, not what to think, but how to think. Because how imparts a way in a manner so you could get the best results out of your life. And I teach that. That's what life skills is all about. Life skills ain't about the birds and the bees, brother. Prison talk. I don't talk about no prison, man. Life skills, we are teaching and developing young men as well as young ladies. And so that's what life skills is all about. If I had to put it to you in a flat, life skills is all about redesigning how you think. Because we have been designed a certain way to think. And to show you what I'm talking about, there was some research that was done. And it was in the University of Michigan. I got this call. I listened to Brother Nuri Muhammad was giving an interview, and he quoted this from Dr. Joanna Kajufi. I went back and checked it out. It came from out of a book called Countering Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, right? So in the research, they wanted to know what was the 3 influential forces in a young black boy's life at that particular time in the 50s. And you know what they were? Home, church, and schools.
Makes sense.
And then as the research, the study went to go, I think it's around the 2007, 2008, guess what? You know what? Today, even today is relevant. The 3 most influential forces in a black boy, young black male life today.
Social media.
Number 1 is peers. Number 2 is social media. And number 3 is lyrics found in rap songs.
That makes sense.
So we got to redesign. So that's what my life skills assignment is about, redesigning that. Redesigning to where, yeah, it's okay to be around the peers, but the peers is not powerful than the home life. Home life is dysfunctional for us in our community. We hear people say this all the time. Well, you know, it take a village. We're supposed the village is sick. We're going to leave his mind in a sick village? Because our young people, pardon me, are not in this condition, dear brother, because they want to be in this condition. Life skills is about showing them a better way than the situation or the circumstance that they find themselves in. And most time they coming into the world already with a situation. They already being raised in a home. Like, I respect all our mothers who trying the best they can do, trying to be the best they can be. And we have fathers who really not being the best they can be to their young men. And I'm not here to try to put down the black family, because I know there was a destruction of the black family. And we don't have the time to really go into this, because history is a guide for us, brother. If we don't know what happened to us, we'll never understand what's going on today in our daily lives or how we are dealing with things. Because other ethnic communities, man, did not underwent what we underwent as a people, and no one wants to talk about our sufferation. Man, if you really look at it, let's do the math here. Man, we only been here. The first ship that brought our ancestors here, at the bottom of the whole of the ship. First ship was called Jesus in 1555, not 1619, which is a historical lie that has been fed to us. Something happened within 1555 that got us to 1619, because that was the process, those 64 years it took them to destroy us. Robbers of our name, our language, our God, and our culture. And you could see the way that we operate today. We don't have no aim and purpose for our own being anymore. We was destroyed, brother. I don't want to hear all these so-called scholars keep trying to put on the back burner what has happened to black people in America. We have never, the damage that been done to us has never been repaired, brother. And we supposed to be giving reparations, man. Reparations is not all about, because if America is going to pay us what they owe, America wouldn't even be in existence right now, because we built America. So you can't keep looking at the condition of young people. Yes, they are engaged in criminogenic behavior, but what type of programming and funding that is in place to call them from that way that they are engaging into? So life skills is important to them. And I didn't want to drift off, but history is very important, brother. You feel me? And that's what is missing. We do not know who we are, brother. And if you don't know who you are, man, you can't tap into the substance of your creativity, man. Your ancestors built the pyramids. Nobody from Mars built that. Imhotep left the mathematical base for the pyramids to be built, man. And when we go back to that land, nobody could not tell that that DNA didn't come from us. It came from us. That creativity came from us. And so our history and sojourn in America should not start in the cotton fields of Georgia. Whence we were before all that, it was great. We taught the world science, mathematics. We gave civilization to the planet, man. The black man and black woman is the mother and father of civilization. We could take this and let it alone. Now, if you looking at little Benny Black on the corner in a hidey, you ain't not gonna never see him coming from the fathers of civilization, because you're not looking at Benny Black right. You feel me? You looking at the condition that little Benny in. If little Benny had the knowledge of himself, God in the time and what's be done, even the knowledge of the devil, or the enemy, or what happened to him and his people, little Benny wouldn't be stealing hiders and playing with burners and robbing. Little Benny will be building something. He'll be picking up books. He'll be doing some entrepreneur. He'll be doing some creative wise. So we got to stop using this false narrative, man, or looking at their behavior. The mindset drives the behavior. And if we change their thinking, brother, that's what life skills is all about, man. Redesigning how you think. And that's where I'm at. And I just wanted to just sidebar with the history, because people like to always talk about the condition. It's worse than anything except your condition. And we're accepting the condition not because we want to, brother. We don't know how to deal with the condition, because we are in a serious condition. We didn't have all type of people from different scholastic or academia community that came from us. Ain't produced no solved no problems. You feel me, Brother Dante? We produce black leadership in every city of America. We got black doctors, black mayors, black politicians, black sheriffs. Man, look at the condition of our people, brother. Just in this city alone, we got 100% black leadership. And look at our condition of our young people. Look at how unfriendly we are. No programming set up. You got all these people talking about, well, you know we need to do this. Oh, we could come up with this plan. They never ask the young people, hey, man, what's the plan? How can we help y'all? At all the city council meetings and any meeting they're having, there are no young people in the audience. And they try to go pick the young people they want to pick. No. They are disconnected with reality, brother. And that's what's going on. And that's why the young brothers in the street don't respect that. And it's not because they want to go around disrespecting. And don't get me wrong. There are some behaviors out here, and I tell young brothers, if you don't stop what you're doing, you're going to end up in an early grave or prison. Because behaviors are being rewarded, brother, whether we like it or not. You feel me? And I'm not on this sound of your great televisual podcast trying to dumb down the criminogenic behavior that our young men are engaging in these, and in some young sisters too. I'm just saying to us, brother, that the solution to our problems is divine. It's not going to be found in City Hall. They're not going to come up with a solution that's going to really help young people. And what I mean by divine, it's not going to come from where we think it's going to come from, brother, where we always think it should come from there. The police chief have a job to do. That reactionary. When the police come, that's reactionary. That's not proactive. Brother Hakim working with proactivity. And when you want results, brother, it's not going to come from reactionary. You can lock up all the people you want. The problem's still going to exist. You got to take the problem at the head, deal with it. Why young people are caught up in carjacking? Why they are caught up in this kind of behavior? Let's sit and have a round table. Let's have a peer support group with those young men. Every school can identify young men that get put out of school. You know that, Dante. They got their own down. They know who got suspended. They know who. That's right. They know who been put in school detention. They know the ones that's been suspended. They know the ones that been expelled from different schools. They know the ones been to the youth study center. They know the ones that been in hidings and caught with possession of firearms. They know the ones that been carjacked and they let back out. Well, give me all those young men and give me a spot, and let me show you what I can work with. Let me begin to change their thinking. Because I know if they thinking get changed, their behavior going to get changed. And we have to show them a better way, brother. A better way don't look like a prison cell, but it is going to look like that for them if they are not being touched by the right people. And the right people are not touching their mindset. Because the people who knows these young individuals that been arrested or acting up in the schools, they're not reaching out to the right people, man. No. If they're reaching out to the right people, I think that we'll get help for these young people, man, to change them.
I'll say it now. Family problems, money problems, relationship, uncertainty of a future, and depression is some factors of, I would say, I don't want to say degenerate, but not normal behavior for people doing the carjackings, people in trouble. Those are factors that affect those people, and some will say why they do that, why they go out and do those behaviors. Do you feel those factors are warranted?
I wouldn't say they're warranted, but I don't disagree with that analogy. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you why I don't agree with that analysis. First of all, if you went to the doctor, mm-hmm. and if your stomach hurt, your mama can't tell a doctor why your stomach hurt. Can she? Only you can, right?
Yeah.
Right? Only you can tell what's wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
So until we have a young person or some young people in a group setting and ask them, brother, why are you out here carjacking? Mm-hmm. Why are you out here jumping in different cars you call hotties, brother? Why are you breaking windows? What is the violence? What's driving all this violence between you all? And then after we find out, how can I help you, or we can help you so that we can begin to put you on a trajectory or path to where you could change this. Do you want to change from this? And all of them in that group going to want to change. They want to change, but we're not talking to them, Brother Dante. I'm being real with you, brother. The people that's in front of them young brothers, I'm not saying there are not some people or a lot of MILF role models or individuals. I'm not saying that, but whoever is talking to them, where's the results? They ain't producing no results. They're not producing no results. Mm-hmm. And it's time for us. We done tried everything. It's like you go to Walgreens for that stomach ache and you tried everything.
Every medicine on
and
the shelf.
Eventually you go talk to the pharmacy and the pharmacy say, did you see a gastrologist? You know, they specialize in the digestive system. That's what you may have to see. Mm-hmm. So at some time we got to look for the specialists of these young people. And the specialists to help these young people is individuals who come out of the trap life, who understand the ins and workings and the levels of the street life. Not these individuals out here who giving us this false flag operational look that they come out to life. Like I explained last time, professional people pulling up, listening to Lil Durk. It's all right to listen to Lil Durk, but you should be jumping out the car with the hammer on you, putting it under the seat, got the gun in your mouth. You just left out of class, or you just went took your suit off. You worked in City Hall, or you somewhere professionally. You went to college, or you even might have a trade that you work your career out that way. You should not even supposed to be giving off that kind of energy. Mm-hmm. Man, come on. You supposed to be telling young men, look, young brother, I went to college. I grew up in the so-and-so housing development, man, but they had other people that mentored me and showed me another way. But you know what? Like the brother said out of Chicago, man, Dr. Juwan, you see, right. We'd rather be popular than to be smart. So it's the popular thing to jump out the car with this music bumping Future Pluto playing loud or Married to the Game, you feel me? He got the nice gown. He just went bought from one of the brothers' store. He got the good loud. He rolled up on his way over there. And him and his little main man, he's riding. They both school teachers, or they both in the professional spirit, and they both jumping out with the L1s on, you feel me? To fit it up. They just took the tie off, you feel me? Yeah, they got both of them got hammers on. Ain't neither one of them been to a gun range. The gun's legally in their name, but they want to go buy them out the streets. You know, that's, brother, that kind of thinking for me gotta change, brother. You feel me? Now, if I jumped out like that, I wouldn't even feel comfortable jumping out no car with no hammer on me, the loud, the music bumping. Come on, brother. What kind of example I'm setting for young people? And I live that life, that treacherous life. You feel me? That's what I don't like. You find more brothers like myself who changed from the life. We ain't doing none of that kind of behavior. We be laughing at people like that and say, man, this brother, no, you need to stop. Out here faking like that. And that's why our young people, they don't have the right teachers in front of them, brother, with all due respect. And we're not trying to downplay that behavior, brother, because if they continue with that behavior, they will end in prison the rest of their life or dead. And I tell young people that, brother. But not only do I tell them that, I work with them to show them a better way. And because in life skills, that's why life skills were instituted, at Green Coat. It's instituted where my new career employee right now at Thrive Workforce Development is being instituted because Mr. Willie from Green Coat is there, Willie Augman. And he understands that Brother Hakim got to come up in there. We need Hakim. He begins the first process to change the mindset. Because the process is better than the product, brother. You feel me? Yes. We don't know what the product could become, but if we keep changing and working on the thoughts and developing the social skills, developing the young people, I should say, teaching them a right value system, you feel me? Morals. They begin to have moral reasoning about themselves. They begin to be able to have critical thinking. They can resolve conflict without fighting, because I teach conflict in life skills, brother. How to resolve conflict. Because we talk about violence. We talk about lyrics found in rap songs. We talk about the so-called beef. I wouldn't even use the beef, the disagreement between our brother Young Boy and Lil Durk. We talk about these things, man. And I be hoping that I knew somebody that I was in the fast with that knew both sides and let me see if we could resolve the conflict. Because we don't want nothing like that to happen to none of our young gifted and black ones. You feel me? Great. So that's where Brother Hakim is at, brother. When we find young brothers in certain conditions in their life and we know we can help them, brother, we supposed to go back and teach, train, and transform their thought process. And that's what I look at life skills like, man. And we need that. That's missing in young men's lives, brother.
Now, what's your thoughts on, since you say they don't have the right teachers in place, what's your thoughts on the school system?
It should be closed down and put a yellow tape around them. They failed our community. Even every teacher at every school go to happy hour on Thursday. It's on a loudspeaker sometime. Y'all know where we going at when this get over, what? Or it's by, if it ain't on, the intercom is by verbal. The teacher saying, girl, you going tonight? Yeah, I'm going to do. I'm going to swing through the night. Where y'all going to be at tonight? We going to listen to the second line band. Now, they just tell the students all day through the week, you ain't going to be no, go to class, because I don't know what I'm going to do with did you going to happy hour. Brother, really? They need to go back and visit what Dr. King said, what education is all about. And like Minister Farrakhan said also, there's a purpose for education. And Dr. King says something about education because all of our great leaders say something about education. And no leader is better than, and if you put what the minister said and Dr. King said together, man, it's something beautiful, because that's what education is supposed to do for us. There's a purpose for education. Education is not supposed to have you to be immoral, brother. No discipline. Man, education is supposed to cultivate the human being. You feel me, brother? Refine you and develop certain skills in you that already was there, because the root word of education, that the minister made me understand, to bring out of you what God, the Creator, already deposited in you. That's how serious education is, man. But the education that we received in North America has never brought out nothing that the Creator deposited in us. All they brought out of us was a way to use us, our talents and gifts, to build whatever kingdom they trying to build, brother. I'm just being real with you, man. How can you have a principal from Utah working at a school that's in the inner city, and he never even from the city? Man, I couldn't go to New York today and run for office. They're going to say, well, you know, You got to be exempt from this because you got to be a New Yorker.
A citizen.
You got to be from, you got to know the landscape. So the school system has failed us. And they got some great teachers, brother. They do. Hakim not saying all the teachers go to happy, all the teachers are smoking loud, but they all have some.
Yes.
Smoking, it's a lot smoking loud. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of them drinking, partying, promiscuous. They ain't pulling on no condos, but they promiscuous. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to call out one behavior to another, when we got to keep it real, just like you don't have no knowledge of yourself, same as those young brothers that you trying to talk to in the school. That's why the education process in the school system, the young brothers don't even see themselves from this the shortest month of the year. And I can go to any school that's named after an historically black figure and ask any young brother that's in there, man, who is George Washington Carver? I go right to call George Washington Carver. Don't tell me nothing about no peanut. Tell me something about him. Mm-hmm. What historical university he worked at. You feel me? I could go right uptown to what the Kip then took over and hijacked and called Woodson. Who is Dr. Carter G. Woodson? You feel me? Off the ad. We need to know who these great iconic figures were to us and the contributions they have done towards civilization for us and others in North America. We know none of ourselves, nothing of ourselves, pardon me. And that's not supposed to be like that, brother. We could go right on St. Charles to the Jewish school, and they know everything about any Jewish scholar that gave any contribution towards civilization for their people to become successful. So what's wrong with us trying to find out who and what and how we done it? What is wrong with that, Brother Dante? It shouldn't be no problem. So the school should be shut down. Closed down, put a yellow tape around them like they want a dead body, because the school is producing that in our young people mindset. They're not elevating them and educating them, brother. It's so many young brothers that don't even have a process to get to college. If he ain't catching the ball, running track and jumping high, come on, what happened to the academic part, man? And that's what I loved it about the private school setting, because we don't control the education of our children. Yep. And so since we don't control them, the closest thing is, like I tell everybody in New Orleans, send them to St. Augustine. At least he going to know that the school is named after somebody black, look like him. They going to teach him about that figure. And I'm not just upholding St. Aug over other public schools or any school. I'm just saying that the model that St. Aug has been using since 51 to current has been successful. Look at the results that St. Augustine has produced. For every individual you could think about at St. Aug that went to prison, you could think of thousands that went through there and done some great things. You feel me, brother? Yep. And that's like other private schools. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we didn't produce other great brothers at other public school settings, but our younger people don't even know nothing about them at those other schools. You feel me? It ain't just the athletes. It ain't just the athletes that's supposed to be coming, Brother Dante. It's supposed to be everybody that is highly involved with this. You feel me, brother? So that's important to us. You know what I mean? So the school has failed us, Brother Dante, man. You will be better of an example going into school to teach them young brothers about this craft you working with. Mm-hmm. They'll come to your class. Because what would be my technique if I worked in a school? If I was a principal, when they walk up in there in that morning, man, they going to have that beat on. I'm going to meet them where they at. I'm gonna have a survey every Friday. What y'all want here next Monday to Friday? Everybody, we're going to put in the hat. Okay, Shalita said she won't hear. So long as it ain't no cursing, Shalita won't hear all this. I'm going to put all this on Monday. Boom, that beat. When they go into class, every time the class switching, the other teacher, what is you doing, Hakim? I'm meeting them where they at. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not here for test scores. I'm here to be a steward in their life. I'm here to develop them. And then in the meantime, they're going to learn about all the great black heroic figures that made contributions towards civilizations. Math and science going to be taught on a high level. We ain't leaping to take no tests. We ain't leaping nowhere. And if you're getting funded for each child, we're going to make sure each student in Brother Hakim school going to get the funding they need to make them become successful in their life. I'm not having no buses pulling up to pick you up at 6 in the morning. And I'm going to have different little brother from different sets on the bus, they beefing. And I ain't had no conflict resolution going on. I'm not doing that. If you're from the 9, I'm picking you up in the 9. You're from the 7, you need to be picked up in the 7. with your peers. Because then we gonna put everybody together and resolve the conflict for school get open. You feel me?
Yes,
I'm gonna have that beat playing. I'm gonna meet them where they at so I can bring them where I need to bring them at. And the problem what is we trying to bring them where we want them to be and we ain't meeting them where they at. I'm meeting them where they at, brother. And that's where they at. The peers, I'm gonna find out the leadership among them. And I'm gonna work on that leader. Because those students who are acting up in each school, brother, they are the leaders of that school. If we change their thinking, the school gonna be safe.
Trickle down.
That's right. So you see my strategy, brother? That's a good one. But the schools that's running, and the school board officials, they need to, don't even show up Monday. Because you failed us. You don't advocate for us.
At all.
No, man, sellouts. I just call it like it is, brother. Real talk.
Okay, man. I got some statistics on New Orleans. It says the rate of the violent crime, particularly crimes involving guns, has risen significantly since this time last year. We're speaking of 2021 to now, 2022. As of February 2nd, this is from City Council Crime Dashboard, carjackings were up 104%, so basically quadrupled compared to that date last year, well, doubled. Compared to that date last year, homicides with firearms are already up nearly 20%. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. That's good empirical data. Mm-hmm. Now, that's the truth. Carjacking is up. Now, let's chase why. I'm going to start all over again. Everything that's happening in the city with young black males from a certain particular age, mm-hmm. we could go in any school, set in the high school, and ask the principal. Because I put that in the proposal I'm getting ready to send. I put that in one of my proposals about life skills. Ask the principal. Show me the list that you have of young men that have been adjudicated. Ankle braces on, that you know got out the system. How many you got here? Okay, give me their names. How many young people that been in school detention for more than 5 times? Put his name. Consistent. How many young people been suspended? Give me his name, right? Mm-hmm. How many been exposed from different schools that you know you've been trained? Give me his name. How many young people that are in boys' home? Give me his name. How many young people came on from Bread Center or in a juvenile facility? Give me his name. And then when I put this list together, look at it, check this out, the strategy. From that is going to be my peer support group. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to meet with these young people 3 times a week. And the first subject we're going to talk about is what's relevant to them. Carjacking, guns, violence. Mm-hmm. Because the ultimate goal is to reduce that behavior in them, right? Whether we have any knowledge that they are guilty of any of that, that's not my strategy. My strategy is to reduce or remove even the thought to be around people that's like that. And we need to do that every school. Mm-hmm. Because we can identify young people, brother, who have done some things in the community and that goes to the school. Because they don't have to be carjacking. They could be put out of school. The ones that's carjacking was going to somebody's school that got put out, brother. I know you know that. He had some behavior challenges way before he became jacking cars. Yes. Right, that's just come on.
Up one day and
thank you, brother. You see my strategy here? Yeah. So I'm into preventive measures. Mm-hmm.
Before it get to that point.
Before you even turn to that type of criminogenic behavior. For the gang unit got to come looking for him. His mindset going to be changed when I knew that he been in in-school detention. In-school detention like you going to sit him in a cell somewhere. You ain't changing this thing. Ain't no cognitive behavior therapist being taught. Yep. The disciplinary on the halls, he's got his mind on his little or somewhere else. His mind ain't on trying to change your thinking and behavior. You feel me? Because if that was the case, we will be able to be showing in some schools they won't be having. If we go and check schools for behavior, what would the conduct of that school be founded like, brother? You feel me? And it's a small percentage of young brothers and sisters, mainly young brothers who are getting in trouble in school. If we had the right people to identify that, we can stop them from doing all this other stuff they're doing outside the schools. Because the leadership of them young brothers that driving all this is in them school settings. And the principal have a list of those who've been adjudicated. Been in trouble before, brother.
Hey, do you hear it in the schools? Will you be like, You know that boy right there.
So
They
he
talk about
so
it.
he should be put down on a paper and contact Brother Hakim ASAP and say, listen, brother, how can we curtail some of this criminogenic behavior or this high risk behavior in young men that we're seeing? I'm asking for that list, and I'm gonna begin to work on those young people. And I'm gonna tell you, after a protracted period of time, this is what the results gonna look like. Because it's not a cookie fix thing. It's not no abracadabra. It's you got to pull your sleeves up and go in there and begin to teach, man, and train and transform. Meet them where they at. What's up? Bring pizza for them. Feed them. Talk to them. Have opportunities for them while I'm connecting the dots for them. See what's happening with them. Who do you respect? Who is your big dog? You say you from the 7, you hard head? Well, who the big dog you respect? And I'm going to see who you respecting. You feel me? Because you can't be out here saying you from somewhere and you really not. And that's another thing in the schools. You ask a little young brother, because it's like I said, it's better to be popular than to be smart. Where you from, man? I'm from the 9. Follow me. Where you at? I'm from the D. And you find out he ain't never in his life been in the D. His mama, great-grandmother from the D. He ain't never been in the D. Man, you ain't from no Desire. What street you from out of Desire? He don't know. He might say Oliver White. Well, who is Oliver White? Because you not from the D. I'm from the D. So if you tell me I'm from Cross Canal, say CDC, what that is? You just say you from Cross Canal, right. CTC. Where you at? So that's what this is more about. So we got to change this thinking. It's not where you're from, it's where you're at. And so in the life skills training camp, we deal with different sessions, brother, right? We dealing with conflict resolution. We dealing with self-imposed limitations. We dealing with social skills development. We deal with building positive mindset, critical thinking, decision making, problem solving. See, that's what we dealing with. The positive change model. How do you change a condition of yourself? Why you like this? Why you doing the things that you're doing? And we need to talk to you because no one is putting them in front of those individuals who say that they are the chief law enforcer, the one that was elected officials. They're not talking to no young people, man.
No.
Just keeping it real. But you ever heard they went down there yet?
Well,
and talk to the young people. You heard a lot of young guys went to sit there. Now I know. Oh, I forgot. We got a problem with everybody under COVID. Yeah, it's a whole nother subject there.
Nah, I said, talked a little bit about this before, Cameron. The district attorney of New Orleans pledged to relaunch a gang unit to prevent what we were just talking about, the carjackings and the violence with guns. What's your thoughts on them planning on relaunching the gang unit?
That's an outcry. That's a public outcry, brother. You know, that's like the quick fix for them.
Like a Band-Aid?
Well, yes, it's a quick fix because first and foremost, I respect the DA. I respect the police chief. I met him on different occasions. You know, not really had a chance to really sit down and talk to them.
Just a brief.
You know, but Sean Ferguson is a beautiful brother, and so is brother Jason Williams. You know, and one of the things, brother, that I will never do, brother, is speak against a person. I deal with the principles or the policies that they try to set forth. I deal with that. You feel me? Because them as the persons, they are great, man. They mean very well. But they're not surrounded by the right people. The DA ain't got nobody like Hakim around him. You know, Sean Ferguson ain't got no relationship with nobody like Brother Hakim or any good brothers out here in the community. And I ain't talking about no relationship about, yeah, that's little Joe, he be carrying guns. No, I ain't talking about no relationship like that. I'm talking about a real meaningful relationship and say, you know, Brother Hakim, one of my units stopped 2 little young men, brother, but man, I don't want to see this happen to them. You got a program, I'm going to send them over there by you, man. 3 times a week, brother. I know you got that building over there. I'm going to send them to you, brother. That's what I'm talking about, that kind of relationship. The DA got a diversion program. Who runs the diversion program? Is the person that's over the diversion program ever had to be put in the diversion program, him or herself? I think not. You can't go to college to get a degree in diversion, brother. You with me? So they are not surrounded with individuals with the best knowledge on how to deal with young people. So the gang unit is inevitable. I already told young men I'm mentoring, brother. I just spoke with some young men in the class the other day that I've been working with, a few of them. I won't share their name, but I done already called them from that behavior. I'm working with them. I'm changing their mindset. by the grace of God, their mindset been changed. And they bringing in their peers. So I could change their mindset because I'm meeting them where they at. But when we look at the gang unit, they going to do what they got to do, but you can't police and arrest yourself out of nothing like this. This is a condition that needs their intervention. We need intervention immediately, and not from a reactionary position. It got to be proactive. And it starts that the school sees a lot of people, and to get to you, follow me, Dante, because a lot of this is operating in silos. The police chief and the DA had to put aside their differences. What type of differences that y'all have that had to be put aside? That's number one. Do we need to resolve any conflict with you all? Because I don't really think that Brother Jason and Sean Ferguson have any personal differences outside of the work. Yeah. Theirs is political or body politic. That ain't got nothing to do with the damn condition of young people in our city, man. We put aside all differences, petty differences. We have people saying this against that. I don't know what all the intel behind that is, but I know that ain't never supposed to be put out in the public that the DA and the police chief, man, if you go to any city, man, the police chief work closely with the DA and vice versa. They are connected. That's a major part of the criminal justice component, man. So that let me know if y'all ain't together, the brother in the streets ain't going to be together. So how are we going to change this? And I keep saying it, I tell the DA to his face, brother, you got the wrong people surrounding you. You have people surrounding you that don't have no knowledge of how the street life go. And if they did, they so far removed that they think they forgot where they came from. Come on, man. And so when they talking about bringing the gang unit, that's inevitable, brother. They're going to happen. They're going to make some arrests. They're going to be some young men, don't get me wrong, who are caught up into high levels of criminogenic behavior. And I done told a group of them, brother, in the ninth wall, you keep doing what you're doing, brother. When these people unleash this gang unit, you going to jail. Because you better not tell nobody that you heard of Brother Hakim and you ain't go to the rest of your life. Man, they might put you in a hole. Them brothers up there going to say, man, Brother Hakim was teaching you and you still were doing what you was doing, or Norris or any good brother out here that's teaching young people and you still won't be caught up. Well, then there's consequences for your behavior. But we can't have no consequences for no behavior if we never try to direct them from that behavior that they're engaged in, Dante. And that's where Brother Hakim is at. Yes, there's going to be some of them that going to go get arrested. There's some behaviors that got to be checked. Like what them young men did that lady by Costos. Man, they ain't supposed to be happening like this, brother. That's not supposed to be happening to this lady that came on one night and she was going by her daughter. Our young man stuck the gun to her face. She was old enough to be his grandmother or great-grandmother, man. That kind of behavior got to stop. And we can't keep trying to pussyfoot around that. If you out here sticking guns to people's face, you're going to be dealt with, man. Because in the street life, that ain't got nothing to do with no street life. That's some other stuff, man, going on with you all, man. We ain't never did that crazy stuff in the 90s before I left the street, man. We was in the trap for real. And I ain't knew nobody was doing no call. That was a federal offense, man. You talking about carjacking somebody. And these are young people that doing that. Because it's a mindset, brother. And until we really deal, we could come up with all the different social factors that we think that contributed to that behavior, but we would never know them until we sit down. We can't talk to the social worker. The social worker need a damn social worker, man. I'm just being real, brother. We got to talk to these young men to find out, man, what's on your mind? What's up with you with this gun thing, man? What's going on, man? What is hitting for, bro? I mean, you know what's happening, man, because if you don't want to get it from me, bro, Sean Ferguson going to release the gang unit is already in motion, brother. And I ain't playing no scared scrape for you because Brother Hakim ain't going to the penitentiary. You are. If you continue down that road that you don't want to listen and change the way you think and the way you behave and stop making excuses, because they got people under the bridge, and I bet you I'll pull up on them and say, hey, man, let's go call Jack. They'll break out and run for me. Because ain't nobody going to be doing that to nobody, put somebody's life in flight, man, because of you have some faulty level of thought process of yourself and you listen to music, you chewing on pills, you chewed on trains, Percocet, Tramadol, because you was a dope fiend since you was a little boy, because your mama, they tricked your mom at the school, talking about you got hypersensitive behavior problem, you ADHDs, what really mean ain't no daddy at home. You feel me? No father figure in your life. They around and misdiagnosing you, the social worker saying you got some type of mental health. Man, you ever been diagnosed by a psychologist? Psychologist then to a psychiatrist who really administer that type of medicine? A psychologist have to refer you? Have you really been sit down with people like that? No. And you had a little bone Adderall and Ritalin. If you feel me? And so when he get bigger, he chewing 5 trains and some perks. And he don't even know that the perk is being laced with that fentanyl, and could kill him. You feel me, brother? Yeah. So, man, and most of them are out of their element, bro. And it's not making an excuse for criminogenic behavior, because some of them young brothers who are out here are worthy, brother, to whatever happened to them, because you know what you're doing is not right, brother Dante. We don't need to go to no school to know right from wrong. They know putting them guns to people's faces is not right, because you can see the located areas that they operating and functioning out of, brother. Mm-hmm. So we got to really sit down with the DA, with a group of 100 young black men who you know been caught up, and ask them, man, what's up and how can we help you? But they're not surrounded with the right people, man. We're surrounded with people that look good on the resume, man. You know, like a championship team, man, they might win the championship. They don't make the playoff. The team he got surrounding, they ain't make the playoff, brother. It's been real. I'm just keeping it real, brother.
That's what you're here for. Now, something outside of New Orleans that happened, national news, we discussed that we was going to talk about this. A mirror lock situation, a tragic situation that happened. Give y'all a little breakdown of what happened. It was a no-knock warrant signed by a judge that police came in looking for someone, Amir Locke, sitting on the sofa, sleep on the sofa in his blanket wrapped up. They alleged he reached for his gun because they came in, started yelling police after they broke in, and when he reached, they shot him several times, and he was killed on the scene. What's your thoughts on this situation that happened?
Well, we could just cut straight to the chase.
Yes, we could.
If Amir Locke, may Allah be pleased with that brother's soul, if he was Caucasian, he'd be alive. See, the problem when we deal with law enforcement, this the whole criminal justice system, brother. We really got to understand race play a major role, but they don't want critical race theory taught in schools. Yes. You feel me? That's a whole nother podcast that I would love to come back to deal with.
You know it.
Because Whoopi Goldberg got put off that, which is another subject. We'll get into that at another time. Mm-hmm. But Amir Locke, bro, just think about this. He sleep. He knocked on the door. No way in the world.
They didn't knock on the door. They
opened the door up. That's right. Thank you. It was a no-knock warrant. Mm-hmm. And they already said there was a moratorium on that, right? Mm-hmm. You already know you got problems. First, let's just back up. They said it was a homicide and they were looking for somebody. Yep. What made you end up at that address?
With a key.
And then not only prior to you ending up there with the address, even before you got the key, what was in the mindset? You were supposed to ask the people. It was an apartment, right? Yep. What would have been a problem to call the person who oversees that apartment complex, like the apartment manager, right? Mm-hmm. To find out who occupies that environment, that apartment. Pardon me, right, brother? Yep. Oh, how old is this young guy? Let's call his parents. You feel me? That's good policing. But since black lives don't matter to each other like us, it ain't gonna matter to nobody else. Let's get all the way down to the root of this, man. When you are taught self-hatred, other components outside of you see you the same way you see yourself. So black life ain't gonna never matter until we make it matter, Dante. Mm-hmm. That young brother supposed to be alive right now. And we continue to protest and scratch and crawl, and we continue to put these type of people in office, brother, who we know don't give a damn about us. Because if you go back and see that interview, that was a sister that cut off the police chief.
Yep, and he ended the interview quickly.
And that sister got at them. I'm talking about the sister that walked up in front, who was a part of this.
I know what you're talking about.
They had this. Yes, this sister was a part of this group of individuals help to make the relationship better in the community, to deal with things like that. Mm-hmm. You with me? So the sister was telling them we're not going to keep whitewashing. That's what's happening here, brother.
The interview was going to be about trying to clean it up.
And we shouldn't. The officers was out of line, bro. That was murder. I don't care what you, that's the same thing with George Floyd. We clearly saw other policemen stand back and watch him put his knee on his brother's neck, and his brother couldn't breathe. We watch a guy who was not trained to be a law enforcement, and gun down Trayvon Martin.
Ahmaud Arbery as well.
I know, brother. It go on, but you know what all this is stemmed from? Because the way that we look at each other and how we deal with conflict with each other in our black life, to us don't even matter. So if it don't matter to you and I, Dante, how it's gonna matter to the police, man? We got to learn this rule, golden rule. We have to police policing is all about making your community a clean and decent place to live. We can do that. We did it before. We're supposed to be knowing what's going on in our community before it even create no problem as it is being created. We have never saw where the law enforcement, whatever environment is in. If it's all black police department, we can go check the data. They ain't pulling over no white boys. And if they are, it's a different level of respect. They ain't right or wrong.
That's right.
And we could go to any other parts of America and where it's a predominant white environment. We have never heard where no young white boy got gunned down by the police. There are some instances that may happen.
Exceptions.
But we don't hear about it like it is in ours.
Yeah, because it's not.
You feel what I'm saying? It's not normal. And then when they find them, they done that, they deal with them. And even if there was some young white boys across America carjacking, they would tell you, not just it was mental health, they going to find out the factors that caused little Bobby like this. Hold up, it was his milk. I think the milk was missing this morning. He had his rice cereal. Something, they must have gave him another dose. They going to say that he's not the problem. But when our young people do something, they are the problem. Yep. See the big difference? And so it's a lot to do with lack of love for self and kind, brother. Mm-hmm. It starts right there. Yes, that was a travesty, brother. Injustice done to that young man's life. He was murdered in cold blood. And his mom, brother, man, I'm praying. We need to pray for that sister, brother. Because, brother, that's a hell of a situation to be in, brother. It's a young man.
Sitting on his sofa, sleeping.
Under the cover. You had no reason to put, the same person that gave you that key should have told you that's Amir Locke. Man, I know his mom. She got the lease. Call her right quick. Yes, my name is Captain So-and-so for so-and-so precinct number. I'm getting ready to do a no-knock warrant, but I want to know who is in the house. They told me Amir Locke. What are you going over there for, sir? Oh, we looking for him. My son ain't never killed nobody. Look, before you go in there, let me get over there to talk to my son first. Before you run up in there and take my son's life. They didn't do that.
Reactionary.
They were reactionary, brother.
Now, off of the Amir Locke situation, I got one last topic I want to talk to you about. It still goes with the racism topic with something, I don't know if you're familiar with it, the Brian Flores suing the NFL over racial practices. You familiar with this subject?
I'm familiar with it.
What's your thoughts on this?
It's a lot that you have to unwrap, and I don't have the thorough knowledge of the subject, brother, because we are giving sound bites information. Until we talk to Brother Brian, that would be a good thing if you could ever bring him on your show and you could ask him the right questions. Instead, we don't have to hear the monologue of ESPN and everybody saying what Brother Brian said he didn't say. But I know one thing. We remove all that, we know race play a big part.
One
or
black
why we
coach
don't have
in the NFL.
It's like that in the criminal justice system. It's like that in the prisons. Don't you know on a federal level, when I left, they might have had 5 black wardens. And they got over 100 federal prisons. Think about that. Might have some associate. I'm talking about a warden. I can name the black. When they stand, I can name them. Then I can see them in my head right now. My mindset. You feel me? Man, we know it's a problem, brother. We know race play. The architects of this country is drenched in white supremacy. We don't even got to argue with that. It's based on the color of their skin. They're going to position people like that. And you know the NFL would never really design for us. But we the majority. Just think about if all the African-American players, black players who play in the NFL say, you know what, we ain't catching the ball no more until we start really hiring more black coaches. I ain't playing no more. Think about if Patrick Mahomes went to Kansas City and say, man, I'm just going to fall back for a minute right now. You feel me? And then you got to understand too, you don't have a lot of white athletes speaking out.
Yep.
But most important, you don't have no white owners speaking out. Roger Goodell make a salary. Look his salary up.
I think his salary $50 million a year.
Man, come on, for doing what?
Well, you gotta think about it. Roger Goodell, he has bosses. Them owners his boss. He not their boss.
But think about this. Since the inception of the NFL all the way to this modern time, you think they're ever gonna be a black guy get that position that Roger Goodell got?
Commissioner?
A commissioner.
I doubt he makes $63 million a year.
And think about it on the NBA level. Think about it.
NBA has 14 black coaches out of 30. It's better than
but what I'm saying, the commissioner.
Owners.
The commissioner.
The commissioner. One black owner, that's Michael Jordan.
That's it.
And no black owners in the NFL is one minority. Shot Khan for Jacksonville. But he's not black. It's the ownership, bro.
It's the leadership.
Yep.
And old white men, right?
Yep.
And how they see you.
As a money maker. Catch the ball, run
That's
the ball.
why the same thing in college. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of black coaches, but the black athletes wasn't benefiting from all the money. Now they all now.
Yep.
So this thing got to change, man. But in reality, man, we got to come to this mindset. Instead of going through all this, we got to learn to create our own, brother. Separate.
Stop relying on it.
We got to stop relying on the slave master and his children, man. There's no disrespect. It's just saying it out of love. You don't see no Asian people having these problems, huh? Nope. Arabs don't have this problem. No other community in America had a problem that we have, unless you black and brown. You feel me?
Yep.
And we lack unity, man. That's the strongest weapon that we have that can cease all type of our pride. We disunite. And we just see that in leadership, just in the city, how disunited that they are. Mm-hmm. So if the streets, now think about this. If the streets is more united than the leadership, man, we gotta. The elected officials, and when you hear the bickering in the streets that's going on, we know that's conflict got to be resolved. But we don't supposed to see this on a professional setting, brother. Elected officials not seeing eye to eye over a problem. We could disagree to agree, but no news reporter should never go public and say that the chief and the DA met under some dire circumstance. A young man lose his life at Carr. So that make me think, why y'all couldn't meet nowhere else?
Right.
Why you got to meet over there?
Dysfunction in the leadership.
And then on top of that, why would you go meet in a place of emotions are so high, debt, people lost life, happened. Something that just happened. And I'm not by no level like knocking them down. I'm just giving my own analysis, man. It does not look right to you and I. You feel me, brother? It's a dysfunction in that leadership. And now we finally hear from Madam Mayor. You feel me? So so somewhere along the line, what is the problem that you three couldn't sit down
and come to a conclusion, a reasonable,
and then come with the right strategy to put the right people at the table? Because we got people who working for these sides, these public officials who do not have a clue. Like a criminologist just recently said, they are clueless. They're clueless. They're clueless, brother. That's something to think about, beloved. So that's why it's important that Brother Hakim said we got to escape the trap life. We got to know what the trap look like. Everybody just thinking the trap is a terminology being used in Atlanta by the rappers, giving a description of a place where drugs are sold.
It's different.
We got corporate trap. What I'm talking, trap is a mindset that we got to be disentangled from, brother.
Yep.
You feel me? And that's where I'm at. That's how I'm escaping the trap, bro.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah.
You bought your notes. Any other topics you want to touch on before we wrap it up, boss?
Yes, I wanna, this is something to think about with the trap, and because we dealing with poverty trap with our young people, man. We gotta really look at this from a whole nother perspective. As a sociologist, man, we know we have a problem that has been existing in the black community for some time, and now we said that our brightest and greatest of our generation we ever produced is running across in America, and we can identify it. If it's happening in New Orleans, it got to be happening in other major cities. Young black men who look like they have no aim, no purpose for being, and carjacking. And we saw a former lady that was married to a president who was running for president call our young people predators. Talking about Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Then try to get the black vote.
That's right. And the black vote did not call her to account of what her husband did with the draconian drug laws. He could have changed the crack law many years. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at all that, brother, and we see young men doing that in New Orleans, and they're doing it in other cities, something is going on, dear brother. This is the greatest generation we ever produced. What will make them great in this generation if they had the right guidance? They are fearless. They fear no one, brother. But they don't have the right guidance. And the guidance that they are giving is misguiding them in their lives and the choices that they are making, brother. And that's what the notes was stemming from. And that's where I'm talking about the trap. Because they got to escape that, man. There's a plan in place, man, to destroy our young men. And we could even be a part of a conspiracy, don't even know that one is being put in place for us and our demise. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Because when we look at this behavior, brother, of carjacking in this city, and they just had a great meeting at City Hall with the elected officials from each district were talking about what was going on, but there were no young men on the Zoom call.
To let them know what's going on.
No, for the young men to tell them why we caught up in the way we caught up and what's really going on and how we can be helped. And until you do that, you're not going to fix this by the gang unit, tiger unit. Man, you run out of bed space, brother. We got to have better measures, man. And yes, there's going to be some behaviors, brother, they're going to end up in prison or early graves. Because if a good word don't change the best of us, what's going to happen to the ones that we consider to be worse? Something going to happen to them, brother. So what we're caught up in, and we got some great brothers and sisters who are doing the work, but they're not at the table, Dante. They're not inviting Danielle Mess at a table. Norris not at the right table. Because if Norris was at the tables, man, something would be shaking. Tyrone Smith ain't invited to the meetings. You feel me, brother? You can't just throw no mic at nobody and give them a sound bite. I don't operate like that, brother. I want to be at the table with the decision makers. When you talking about dealing with something with young black youth in this city, you should have a Hakim in mind. Norris should be in mind. You know, it should not be the people that you have put around you that don't have a clue, that's out of touch with young people in this city, man. You got people afraid to death to go around young people. I'm not. And them other brothers I named, they got so many other ones that I can name that came out the trap like to be most successful people who working with the young people who are unsuccessful, but if they had them in the midst, they'll be successful what they're doing. And that's what the problem is, brother. We have the wrong people at the table, that the wrong people making decisions. And like I said, and I say it again, bro, our wonderful brother that he got the wrong people surrounding him, brother. He not getting right advice. He not being advised correctly. And if Brother Sean Ferguson had the right relationships with people in the community, man, who come out the lifestyle, man, who could really mentor and really develop these young people, man, and help them, we should be trying to resource those kind of people and keep giving resources to the same people who keep doing the same thing. You know why? Because that organization, whatever it is that working with young people and professing to be so successful, okay, have you ever worked with any of the young brothers with high risk behavior? You have not. You have not. And I'm not putting you down. The right people, brother, are never invited to the table. You always have the wrong people. And when we come to the table, the meal has already been fed. We got the crumbs. And I'm not begging for no crumbs. This ain't for no money, man. This is about critical thinking and being agents of putting the right agents of change at the table. And I think if that was the case even with the school officials, if they had the right people at the table when they're making all these decisions for the school, when they come to behavior and intervention, you should be talking to people, man, who are formerly incarcerated, who have changed their life. Man, look, check this out. I am a college graduate, right, brother? Mm-hmm. Going to law school, God willing, this August. You mean to tell me just because of whether you agree or disagree with Brother Hakim or any other brother who are agent of change, is to not stop you from inviting them to the table to see what their input is of that lifestyle that you ain't never lived. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And that's what the problem is, brother. And I would say it every day, the right people that need to be in that meeting, they're never invited. They're always invited to the after, like the after party.
Decisions.
Yeah. I don't want to be at that meeting. I want to be at the meeting when the decision being made, the policies being put together, and then I want my input to say, no, whether if it could work or not. I don't have no problem saying, Madam Mayor, it ain't going to work. Brother DA, it's not going to work. You feel me?
It's not the yes man.
No, sir, brother. No, sir, I'm not going to let nobody prostitute my talents and gifts around. I'm not for sale.
Now, Brother Hakim, man, he says everything need to change from the leadership positions. Things need to be put in place, get the right people in the meetings to change these policies and help the young people, man, change the mindset. It's the TaeVi podcast. Any last words for your fans, bro?
Man.
They've been asking for you.
Just, to all the your listening audience, man, I really appreciate them, man. And if anything that I might have said today that might have offended anybody, man, I apologize. I don't apologize for the truth. I apologize in which the spirit or manner in which I might have said it out of. And charge it to my mind and not my heart. Because I'm really about change. I'm really about helping young black males. I want to see boys become men in our community. You feel me? And I'm not just saying that to your audience that just because a brother is formerly incarcerated that he would be the best example for a young man. He only will be a best example if he represents that agent of change. You cannot just go in front of young people and say, I just come home, I've been on for 8, 9 years. Okay, what are you doing? What have you been doing with your life? See, we got to be careful about that, brother, because I'm very cautious about that. When I put somebody in front of young people, they are productive, Brother Dante. They are remorseful and they are productive in their life, whether they are business owners or they went back to school or they got a trade. They doing something productive that when they hear from young people could see the change. And they always say, man, that's when I used to be like that, but I'm just that way now.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. And that's the change that I'm going to see, man, in myself as well as others, brothers. And, I'm always doing this work, man, like others, brother. I'm not the guru of this work. I'm just one of the ones out here. But you got a great platform, brother. And like I said, with me, it's how to escape the trap life, brother.
How to escape the trap life, man. Brother Hakim, you're always welcome on. We got to have you on again because we still got a lot more to talk about.
Yes, sir, brother. Thank you, man.
Podcast, no problem, man. And we out.
Yes, sir.